Professional Programs Coordinator in the Career Center. And I am really excited to have you. You're the second group of students to help kick off Internship Impact Week. I'm very passionate about this, not just because it just happens to be what I do, but because I know from experience, from the number of students that I've worked with, from the statistics, from the stories, how internships can change your whole career trajectory, can your whole family trajectory, because oftentimes a great internship opportunity could lead to a great career opportunity, or could lead you to explore a career pathway you didn't even know you wanted to do, or that you had the ability and capacity to do. And so I want to make sure that you have the tools to get started and to, you know, get the resources to develop your own strategy for getting an internship, no matter what your major is. Okay, we've got so many great resources at Sac State, and a lot of people who are interested in Sac State talent. Okay, so let me start with just kind of what our process is going to be. So we've got a lot of folks in the room, so we're going to have you post in the chat any questions, and then if I can see them, I'll try to answer them. Otherwise, I've got Dr. Fong here. I've got my student assistant, Maya, here as well, who can help me with trying to see if there's questions that I need to answer. And then know that you will be getting these slides, and you'll get the recording after this. And so this is going to be kind of your guidebook for getting an internship after this. And I really hope that you can also fill out the post-workshop survey, which is here. The link is here, and I'll put that in the email follow-up to you. But really want to get some feedback on what you learned and how useful the information was. And ultimately, I love to hear from you if you get an internship, okay? All right, so we're really gonna start off with, first section is gonna be about why you need one. Some of you need convincing. Some of you are here because you're in a class and you're not really sure how integral this is. So I'm going to help you understand why it's so important. And then we're going to get some tools for how you can get one. And so you can really recognize that there's a vast variety. There's so many different approaches to getting an internship, and you're going to do what's going to work best for you. Okay, so let's start with really trying to get an understanding of what's the difference between, say, a part-time job and an internship. So with your part-time job, and I like to use my own example, when I was in college, I worked at Denials Farmers Market and Auction. I don't know if those of you who are local know that organization. And I worked in the snack bar, sold corn dogs and ice cream and even beer at the age of 19. And it was a great kind of a leadership experience, but that was just paid work that I used to get money to pay bills, to prepare going away to college. And really the goal was, for me personally, was just to make a little bit of money to pay some bills. But it was really about the company being able to, make and generate revenue, right? It didn't have to be related to my career interests. It might have been, but that wasn't, one of the goals of that. And then the duration really was, they would want to keep me as long as I would be willing to work there, essentially. So oftentimes, your jobs are really considered what you call long-term or permanent. And then the training and the development that I got was really on, how to use the corn dog machine and things like that. The cash register wasn't necessarily something that I would take with me as part of a career pathway. It was really to benefit the company. And ultimately, that's what it means. So the worker, for the benefit for me was to having some money in my pocket, which was great. But the company's benefit was having my labor and my contribution to helping them provide their service and make their sales. Whereas an internship, while you may still be working with a company or an organization, maybe even that same organization An internship, the terms of relationship is still is a little different. It's really intended to be tied to your education and or career pursuits. And so it's often unpaid and it's also paid. So it could be either one, depending on the organization and the type of work that you're doing. It's really supposed to be very intentional about helping you to develop skills that could help position you to get into some sort of professional pathway or technical pathway within an industry or a company, so that you can transition competitive, from college to career, essentially. And they're not intended to last forever. They're intended to be maybe semester long, 2 semesters long, maybe over the summer included. They're really intended to be very seasonal and temporary. And again, they're usually aligned with the school calendar. That experience usually involves, getting to meet the leadership of the organization, which doesn't typically happen when you're in a part-time job. Getting to have, maybe do community service with another, or be cohorted with other interns, and, kind of really get to know the culture of the organization. And then ultimately it's about the internship benefiting you as the student more than it actually benefits the organization. And oftentimes the organizations get a lot of benefit from you contributing work, ideas, all kinds of things. And some organizations use internships as a talent acquisition tool. But ultimately, the more they help you become a better professional and more skilled, the more you get an opportunity to grow. And you can decide whether you want to stay with that company or go somewhere else and use your talents. So you should understand this and know this, so that sometimes when you're going and looking for internships, you want to strive for these, this arrangement, and make sure that that's what you're getting out of the experience. Okay, you're the beneficiary. So why do you need one? Well, number one, there's a good chance you will get paid. Okay? Like I said, not all internships are paid. Unfortunately, a lot of the internships in kind of the social service industry, education, they're often unpaid. So that's just kind of the way it goes, but you gain a lot of great experience to enter into those fields. It could end up being a paid opportunity that then helps you pay the bills and get that skill that you want. So that's another great way, benefit of internships. Get perspective. This can be worth a lot of money. You can save a lot of money by doing an internship and get perspective on a career pathway that you thought that you wanted to do since you were 10 years old. And then you find out, whoa, this may not be for me. And then you might even change your major as a result, or change a minor, or add a minor or something like that. It really helps you get perspective, because you really get to see what the real world looks like in some of these career pathways. Or you may decide to double down and, just realize that there's skills and, things that you can do in, a particular pathway. You get mentored. Usually that supervisor, they're not just telling you what to do, but actually providing you much more feedback, helping you grow, helping you reflect on what you're learning, positioning you to meet other people in the organization, to learn from other people. And then the statistics show that typically students who do an internship double their chances of getting a career track job when they graduate. And I'm talking about the difference of me working at Denials Farmers Market and Auction while I'm in college, and then finishing college, and then working back at Denials Farmers Market and Auction. That's not a career track job unless I'm working maybe in management or something like that. But getting a job, and often getting it before you're done with, before you walk across the stage, you can double your chances. So that's another reason why you want one. You can also potentially finish your degree sooner, or complete certain degrees, requirements for your degree. Because at Sac State, you're actually able, most degrees, you're able to get academic credit for an internship. It's either offered as an elective or 195 as an undergrad or 295 as a graduate, or some of these majors, it's actually required. Ethnic studies, environmental studies, I know public history. So it's a way to actually help you complete your degree. I've had students who thought that they needed to take a course and they were going to not do an internship because they didn't think they had the capacity to do. And I said, hey, wait a minute, why don't you do the internship for credit? That opened up everything, right? So you should always be prepared to go to your major advisor and have them chart out the pathway to potentially including an academic credit internship into your college experience. It also gives you competitive edge. This is some research from the National Association of Colleges and Employers. It's my professional association that I belong to. And the association surveys employers every year. And this is a couple of years old, but really this hasn't changed over time. And these employers, when they were asked, if given two equally qualified candidates, who would you hire? And they said the intern that either interned at my company or interned in my industry. That's overwhelmingly above major, above having leadership. Those two things is what would weigh the most on you getting, the job, the full-time job. So that can give you competitive edge in the marketplace. So here, I'm not going to go into too much about these students here, but I just wanted to show you the LinkedIn snapshots of students who graduated. They're on LinkedIn. You can go find them. I would connect with them. You can connect with me as well. And these are all students who've had internships. Krista Lopez, she had an internship with the Kings while she was a student. She actually went working and did some other things, but once leadership changed and we came back from the pandemic, she was one of the first people they found to reach out to bring back as a full-time employee to work in human resources through Sacramento Kings. And so each of these students kind of has a story that you can sort of follow by looking at their LinkedIn profile and seeing, kind of what they did for internships. They came from different backgrounds, and I suggest that you reach out, connect with them, say, hey, Stephanie talked about you in her workshop, and connect. Okay, so really quickly, before I move on from, hopefully I've convinced you on, why it's important to get an internship. Are there any quick questions about getting an internship or why it's important? All right, I'm going to take that as no. And then we're going to move on to how to get one, right? That's what you're really interested in. So 5 key things we're going to start with, and then we're going to go into the more in-depthly. Get started early. Okay, this may be a little bit disappointing for some of you, who are graduating in a couple of weeks. I want to tell you, my philosophy is it's never too late, but you sure have better opportunity the earlier you start, is what I say. So when you consider that for your typical internship, it takes about 8 months from the time that the internship is posted and advertised and go through the recruitment process and interviews and actual hiring, and then the first day that you start, it can be 8 months. So a lot of times students are waiting till the month that they want the internship or the semester they want the internship to start looking. You should be looking a minimum the semester prior, ideally at least 2 to 3 semesters prior. Like you should start now with getting well acquainted with all these strategies I'm sharing, and then really starting to maybe target, where you might be looking for internship opportunities. So really starting early is going to help position you, but there's always opportunity no matter what. I believe anybody can get an internship, even if you have to create it. get searching. So there's all kinds of places to search. I'm going to introduce you to some different tools that Sac State provides, tools that could be very useful to you, that you can just get access on the internet. And then just want to say, don't forget people. I would say people, places, and things are in your toolkit, your job search strategy, your internship strategy toolkit. And things are things that are search engines and those kinds of things. Or those are places, and then things are like your resume. But people are so important to opening doors, to giving you advice, to really connecting you to what could be opportunities. There's many opportunities I've had throughout my career that I didn't even apply for. And it was just people who introduced me to other people and opportunities because they saw how I worked. And that really leads me to the getting involved. When you put yourself in positions to get involved in activities where people can see your leadership style, your presentation style, your work ethic, whether it's volunteer or paid, like being part of a club or volunteering for a service activity. That's often what then gets you an invitation to maybe apply for a job, or when somebody has an opportunity, they remember you. That's true for in your class. Think of your professor as somebody who could potentially, I'm sure Dr. Fong and a lot of your professors get asked all the time, do you have any talented students that could do this or that? Okay, so think about that. So getting involved is really important in some form or fashion, whichever way it interests you. Don't feel like you have to just do anything, whether it's the student club, whether it's something off, a volunteer activity, or some kind of cause that you want to be involved in, outside of school. Get involved is where you meet people and opportunities evolve. Get your resume ready, okay? So many of you probably have that same resume that you used when you applied to Sac State. It was obsolete then, it's definitely obsolete now. I'm just gonna be really frank with you. So there's so many things, and a lot of students think, oh, I just pour what's in the job description onto the resume. That's not what a resume is. So when I'm saying get your resume ready, you really need to get to the Career Center and get some help with it, because considering that it takes 40 days almost for an from posting to an interview, that means you've got to have that resume ready and getting updated all at any given time to put it in the system to be considered for these internship opportunities now, right? And also, you never know, when you come to one of these events, you meet somebody and they say, hey, I'm looking for an intern. Can I see your resume? You want your resume to be ready at all times. Okay, so you don't miss any opportunities. And then this is a mindset, get entrepreneurial. Don't think that, well, there's no internship that exists in this database, so there's no internships. You can't find an internship and you want an internship, you create one. You find an organization that you want to work with, or a cause you want to work on, a project, and you pitch an idea to an organization. And I will help you, your professor will help you, we'll talk a little bit more about that. So be entrepreneurial. Okay, so how do you get searching? So here's just a handful of search tools that are at your fingertips. Handshake to start. It's not just a place to register for events, but it's the campus-wide job platform. When somebody actually reaches out to the Career Center and says, oh, can you post this position? We tell them to go post it on Handshake. So if we're sending them there, then that's where you need to go to find these opportunities. There's volunteer paid fellowships. There are also events. employers, not just us, are actually posting webinars and opportunities to do externships and, do virtual tours of their companies, all kinds of things, conferences with leaderships from their companies. You keep showing up at those events and getting on their lists, then you're going to find yourself getting sent, notified when they have jobs and things like that and internships. So you can get to that from our homepage, the Career Center homepage. You can also get to the California Intern Network from the Career Center webpage under the internships link, or you can use this link. And this is really a big untapped resource. Sometimes students get confused because you have UEI, which runs event services and the dining halls, and they do have student jobs that are on campus, but they operate the California Intern Network, which is kind of an outsourcing agency where they do the recruitment and the payroll of student assistants for primarily government agencies that pay at least minimum wage and often more than that, and are looking for students to really work in roles that are often what I would call the pre-entry level position. So they're a great way to get into a pathway into public service or just get experience. And oftentimes, a student that does well and enjoys that work can then leverage themselves into, a career. And I have an example of there's the director of business for the Secretary of State, right? She started off, she was one of the first California Intern Network interns. She started as an intern. She was an English major. And now she's the head of the business of the Secretary of State, right? They operate all of, make sure we vote. The voting is legitimate right here. But they also they monitor and facilitate the business licensing, right? And all of that for businesses. She is in charge of that. She's the head of that. She started as an intern at Sac State and grew, and now she's directing a unit for the state of California. So I want you to think about that through this system. A couple of other ones that are what I would call affiliated with Sac State, not necessarily directed at Sac State students, but the Csu Entertainment Alliance is really for all CSU students. Companies that post jobs and internships on that site have committed to hiring CSU students. And so they may have all kinds of opportunities. And then that site also has grants and scholarships to help you actually, if there's a relocation, to actually be able to go and participate in some of those great opportunities. Parker Dewey is what we call a source of micro internships. And so a lot of times small businesses in particular, they have these short-term projects. Like, I just need, a social media plan, or this website updated, or some surveys, or this database put together. And it's not enough to have a whole internship, but it's kind of short-term, immediate need, they're paying. And so you can actually sign up and set up a profile on Parker Dewey and potentially have several projects where you can build experience, doing these mini projects, learning how to, work directly with clients and things like that, and making money, actually getting some income. And what's also great about this is if you're a person who doesn't have work authorization, you're going to be getting paid as though you're a business or independent contractor. So you don't need work authorization. You just need an employee identification, an employer identification number, which has you registered as a business essentially. And then there are some folks who maybe you have something in your background and it's hard, to get jobs, because every time you go to apply for a job, you get the background check comes back and the company doesn't want to continue hiring. So this is as a business, you can get some experience, kind of prove yourself along the way. So these are great opportunities. And then you've got just, these are the tools that are open to the world. LinkedIn, many of you are not on LinkedIn still, but 90% of corporate recruiters, maybe more, use LinkedIn to recruit internships and jobs. There's another great portal that I really like. It's idealist.org, and it brings together international, national nonprofits from across the country and the world into this one kind of search engine. So those of you who are really looking for some kind of, social cause type of organization or opportunity, Idealist is a great place to look. And then internships.com also has a lot of internship opportunities as well. And there's others out there, but these are ones that you may want to start with. Okay. So I wanted to also show you that there are some internship opportunities that, and companies that just, they're partners with Sac State. So they come every year. They're always at the career fair. They're always trying to recruit. They're always trying to get into student clubs. So, Intel is one of them. I don't know how many students I've, helped get or that help Intel with, recruitment of students, especially their finance and their engineering departments and their business departments. Deloitte, you saw Adrian Chow, his LinkedIn profile. Go find out, how did he get to Deloitte? And then we have other organizations like the Kings, Power School. We have an info session on Power School later in the week. Smud, Target, they're always recruiting internships just about every semester, or at least big summer, pool of summer internships. And then you have these national programs, ones in particular that may try to recruit students who are underrepresented in certain professions, like in finance or just in corporate organizations in general. So Haku National Internship Program, because we are considered a Hispanic, this is a Hispanic serving institution, any student from Sac State can apply for a Haku internship. And I've had two who have successfully under, the time that I've been here. One of them was on that LinkedIn page, Sandra Hernandez Gonzalez. She got a job with the Library of Congress, because these are positions not only with corporations, but with federal agencies, as an internship coordinator for Latinx students. And she was an ethnic studies major. And then I also had a student, her name is Madison Thompson, who was a computer science major and was able to get an internship with the Federal Reserve, which basically is all our money, and was an IT intern. Okay, and she was asked to come back again this summer. So this fall, she already got an offer to go back in the summer for that internship. She's not graduating. So again, positioning yourself as soon as possible for these opportunities. Then we have regularly occurring internship opportunities like the Justice Epstein Judicial Internship or the Panetta Institute Congressional Internship and this hearing officer internship. Like they, if you're in criminal justice and in those colleges, you might hear about it, but I want you to know about it, because sometimes you don't hear about it because you're so busy and you're working and you have other things. You need to know that these exist, and you need to go to your departments and say, hey, tell me about the internship opportunities that my college already has a relationship with. And again, I've got, the Csu Entertainment Alliance is another great resource. Okay. So let me stop there really quick. Are there any questions, Dr. Fong, that you think I should answer right now? I see some activity in the chat.
No, you're doing great. Let's see, I thought there was a question here about, let's see here.
Well, I see one here and that I want to address, and it's the question is I'm interested in social work, but they only offer internships for graduate students. So again, change your mindset. What I just showed you, okay, when in your college, there may be a program that masters of social work students do an internship, but your college is one place that may have internships and that might be required for your program. But the world has internships. Internships are coming from the community for the most part. So this is what the tools that I'm giving you here is for how you go out and find your own or create your own internship. You don't even need to do you don't have to do an academic internship. It's just another strategy to help you. Your college has, some internship relationships with companies, but for the most part, you want to think more broadly and go on your own and find opportunities, for yourself. I got organizations in the community who would love to have social work interns. Especially now, they're asking for people all the time, but you have to go find those opportunities. And some of these are, here's some strategies. So it's a good segue in terms of searching. And it's all about not being too narrow, right? Because your major, again, doesn't define you. Okay. It's just one tool in your toolkit. And it might be the thing that helps you get into a certain internship. It might not. It could be one of the ICELs. Okay. ICEL stands for interests, skills, experience, and language or leverage. And the reason why it says language/leverage is that this is actually from a book called International Advantage, but it's a great model to use. I've met and actually brought Marcelo Barros, he's a career counselor for international students, to help them strategize how to get a job in the US. And this is just a great model that everybody should be using, because it could be your interest that gets you a foot into a certain position. It could be a certain skill that you have. It could be some experience you had, or it could be maybe the fact that you speak a certain language or some other unique or skill that not everybody has that gives you a little more competitive advantage. For instance, I have one of the partners in our Impact Fellows program, which I'll tell you a little bit about. They're the California Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. Okay, and they have an internship where they'll train you how to work with local Latino-owned businesses that they serve, small businesses, right? Well, a lot of their clients mainly speak Spanish. So being able to speak Spanish could be the thing that helps you get this position, and then we'll train you how to do that kind of work. So I want to give you just kind of an example of how you might use this as a tool. So you're basically taking inventory of yourself, stepping back and say, okay, here are the tools. This is where I'm at. I'm a major. So this person is a communications major. They're at the junior level. So they still got that year, maybe year and a half before they graduate. They want an internship position, and then you got to know what you don't want too. They don't want to tutor, okay, or teach. They want to do something else. They have interest in fashion, entertainment, media, skills, photography, silk screening, because it's over an experience. It's a family business. So they haven't really had an employed job, but their family business has been custom t-shirt making. And then they've done some student leadership, which they can express that. And then their leverage is not just being able to speak Spanish in addition to English, but also being able to be very outgoing and not be afraid to be on a public stage, which could be very helpful if there's a position where you're doing community outreach or something like that. So any one of these kind of assets could be what this person then looks for when they're going to those search engines, the handshakes, the idealist.org, and putting in some of these key terms about themselves when they're searching. Like, yes, you're going to put in communications or social work, but not exclusively, right? You're going to be much broader in your search. And then it's a good idea to actually document it and give you an idea of like which search strings work, or like giving you the most types of jobs that and internships that really kind of match your interests. Another great tool that we have at Sac State, you can get to this from the Career Center webpage. It's called What Can I Do with This Major? Because oftentimes you really don't know what you can do with this major. You think you know what you can do with your major, but you have no idea the different career pathways, the different industries, the different types of companies that actually, you know, benefit or look for people who, you know, with your degree because of, you know, some of the types of courses that you take and experiences that you have. And so this is an example of psychology, which is one of those majors that's sort of like that, you know, what do I do with psychology? And so this is just this amalgamation of some of the areas, like human services, direct care, all the way to human resources and in businesses, and you know, things like that. So for all of your majors, you should be able to look up a major that's similar or is the major, and you'll get a report that kind of outlines all of these different areas. And what you can do then is take these and use them as key search terms when you're in these search engines. Also, when you're talking to people, now you've got some language, you've got common language professionals, because maybe in some of your roles, you did some things, but you didn't know that that really comes under customer service or public relations. Now you've got language you can use to talk about the skill sets and the experiences and the assets that you have when you use this tool. So this may be your next assignment, I think. So go do What Can I Do with This Major? And then please use your handshake. We actually pay, we have a pretty good, I'm not going to tell you how much we pay for handshake, but Career Center actually contracts using the handshake, right? Not only to bring the jobs kind of into focus so the employers can meet you, but it's for them to really find you and for you to find them, you have to fill out your profile with as much information as you can. And what Handshake has found is that the most important profile areas to fill out are your graduation date, your work experience, your skills and strengths, and the job locations and job roles at a minimum. Like those are the important ones. The information goes into algorithms and helps employers find you. But I really strongly encourage you to fill it out as much as possible. There are employers that might even direct message you and you know, share job opportunities. So I talked about, you know, if you're seeking academic credit, if that's something you want to do, and I want to encourage everybody to find out and to pursue it. You should. Again, it could be a way to get experience and get closer to graduating. So every department has a 195 or 295 class, but it's different for every department. And so this is general information that kind of gives you an idea of what you can get out of these courses. But there's the two things: you have to go and find out the requirements of your department. You have to get approval. You got to register for a class, right? And then the other piece of the puzzle is that the community partner or the company also has to be in an academic internship agreement with Sacramento State. So that means they actually have a contract. It's a 5-year contract. And so this is the community partner list site. All of the organizations on this site have been approved as academic internship partners. They have contracts. These just go to their website, so you don't know if they're offering internships right now, but you certainly can reach out and find out. And another way you might be able to find out if they are an organization that's posted previously in Handshake and we've identified them as an academic internship partner, you may be able to find them in Handshake and see like what kind of internship opportunities they advertise. So when you go into Handshake, you can click on employers, and then under the search fields, click on labels, which would be at the bottom. These are the filters. And there's a label called Approved for Academic Credit. And as you can see, I just did this today. There's 218 companies that are approved for academic credit. that are actually live and active in Handshake. So I would actually start here and then go to the community partner list if you're looking. And any of those community partners that are approved, that are also on your college website. They are going to be on the community partner list, because the community partner list has the whole campus's academic internship sites. All right. And so just moving on to the importance of getting involved in network. And I just want to highlight this by sharing the story of Ronaldin Cabello, who's graduated in 2017. She was a politics major. She did some communications work as a minor. And what she wanted me to share with you is that networking is so important. Political sphere is actually smaller than it appears, and everyone knows one another. So that networking is important. And at the same time, it's a very broad industry. You wouldn't think it would be. But what she realized is that the communications work was what she really gravitated to, even though she thought she was going in by majoring in politics, the policy was going to be her direction. But it was her getting involved with the Democrats club on campus and serving as the social media coordinator and, advertising their events and things, that she really not only was pretty good at it, but that was when she started applying for internships and positions. That was what the employers, hired her for. And so from that, she went from intern, and that opportunity for an unpaid internship in a local council member's office eventually turned into, as of today, starting January 2021, working for the governor at the state level in the Office of California Volunteers. Okay, so it wasn't, even though she's working in government, it was her communications experience, which she built in her role in the club. Okay, so there are other ways to get involved and to network. The Hornet Hub is where you've got all the different organizations. You can always start an organization if there wasn't one that doesn't exist. And then there's another untapped resource called the Sac State Career Network that you can get to from this link, and also from the Career Center's webpage. And it has a whole pool of alumni, Hornet alumni, who've walked in your footsteps, who are offering to give advice, to meet with you, to do virtual conversations or phone conversations. It's all facilitated through the system, to perhaps review your resume or come speak at your club. So for those of you who are kind of nervous to reach out to somebody you absolutely don't know, but this is a little warmer and less intimidating, because these are already alumni who've already said, yes, I will talk, if I'm available. This is a great resource that you should also tap into in terms of getting involved and getting networked. So get your resume ready. So I'm showing you a couple of examples that are similar, that just highlighting some of the components. Your resume doesn't have to look exactly like this, but let me tell you what makes this competitive. And this resume has, within the first 6-second window up at the top here, right? What at the internship level in particular, employers are often looking for, to see if you meet the minimum qualifications for the position. And so it's set finance and accounting intern. So this person is kind of just stating with a header, very similar to LinkedIn. It's not an objective, but it's keywords that helps, focus them towards the career kind of pathway, the internship pathway. And then highlights skills like software, courses that are relevant to this position. Okay, nothing that's not relevant. It's all within that 6-second window. If you have a 3.0 or above GPA, and what your degree is, and if any special leadership kind of related to your degree, all of that 6-second kind of above the line kind of view is going to help the employer say, okay, this could be a candidate. I'm going to put them in the review later pile. And then for anyone who doesn't meet that, if you've got 100 resumes, you're going to go probably in the other pile. Okay. So you got to have what's relevant in that 6-second window. And then you can provide even more detail in your experience. And as Dr. Fung was mentioning, volunteer work, project work in your classes, paid work, all of that is experience. And you don't have to separate it out and say, oh, this is my unpaid. No, it's valuable. And throughout my life, a lot of the volunteer work that I've done, serving on boards of organizations, is worth money, but it wasn't paid work. Okay. But it's all relevant experience. So that's what you're going to put, and you're going to put information that helps showcases your accomplishments, impact that you've had on projects. And a great way that I like to show is this last item here, the team member of Antelope Valley Ice Cream. Like, I guess it's kind of like my Denials Farmers Market corn dog job, and I sold ice cream too. But this student, we know that he served ice cream. We know that he had to clean up. Okay. That's not what's relevant to this position. What's relevant is that he was one of the highest salespeople. So that tells them, hey, this person brings, some good customer service. They bring some problem solving to the table. You want to know what you accomplished, not just what you did or do in your role. So you want to be able to incorporate that. And here's another style with this this kind of more geared toward maybe a public service or community related position. And again, you've got this one as a communications major, highlighting some of their strengths, public speaking, adaptability, changing priorities, professional work ethic. For most of employers, they're looking for those attributes, not necessarily specifically what was your major, right? Like in Ronald's case. And this is a little more pathway. Like, here's the types of things I like: public relations, community engagement, and service. And then their experience kind of reflects that in some of the things that they've done, the leadership that they've done. None of the experience that's listed here, as you can tell, except for the customer service, was paid. It's volunteer, but it shows leadership. It shows the quantity and the type of people that they worked with. Actually, now that I'm looking at it again, the second one is for a family-owned business. So they probably didn't get paid for that either. So value the experiences. I know a lot of us come from families who had their own businesses, and that needs to show up on your resume. Okay. So, and then the other thing too is giving insight to your values and interests. We know, in being in this class, if you didn't have some kind of values that you believe in, and then an interest. And so those are things that may align with the organizations. If you want to line those up with the organizations that are offering internships, then express some of those interests. It's a good place to do this up top here with community engagement and service. If you're a service-oriented person and you have something that you can show that value, this is a good place to put it. Okay, so I know there's getting close. So the sort of the last of the circle of the cycle here is really a new beginning, because you can, after all these search engines that you might go to, all the people you talk to, you might end up finding yourself still, wow, I haven't really found an internship. What do I do? And so this is where you get entrepreneurial, and you may have to accept something that's unpaid in order to make it happen, but the value of that may be life-changing. And so this is sort of an example of what I call a volunteership. So there's this organization called Coaching Corps that has these volunteer opportunities. And so what you might need to make it more of a formal internship is, okay, well, can we add a project? You know, I see I'm supposed to be coaching and working with youth, but how about if I'm making like coaching lesson plans? And I'm also facilitating parent meetings, and I'm creating these presentations. And maybe I, volunteer to do, some kind of training on health and safety that I could do with the other coaches. And you add some of these extra opportunities to gain skills to maybe this, what's already a volunteer opportunity, and pitch that to the organization. And this is what happened. This was an organization that said, hey, you know what? We want all these coaches. And then come to find out, well, there's probably some students who would love to do this opportunity, but, how do we align it with creating an internship and allowing them to also doing it in a way that they can get credit and meet, university requirements. And so there's ways to do that with pitching either a volunteership or even just going to any organization that you, like I said, you're interested in, one of those community partner lists, any organization, and saying, hey, here's a proposal. I've looked at your organization and I see what you need. Then you can tell a bit about yourself, what your competencies are, what skills you are, and your interests in maybe addressing a need, and then actually come up with what you might potentially do. And then if it's really something that you actually are going to get credit for, then you can include, the minimum amount of hours that you need and things like that. And this could be a way to, kind of pitch that internship opportunity and create an opportunity for yourself. Smud is our local utilities provider. They have an internship program. I don't know if any of you've seen any of their internship opportunities, but they've been running for about 5 years now. And that college internship program started off as an MBA student's summer internship, a proposal of how they could start and how they could structure a best practice internship program. Okay, it was an idea that was pitched, but it was, very similar to this. So if that can turn into an organization and something that has provided hundreds of internships 5 years later, then the project that you pitch, could definitely be worth pitching. Okay, so I just wanted to just highlight really quickly, don't shy away from the potential unpaid experience, right? We actually have a couple of resources that might be able to help you. So we have the Gaining Access to Internship Scholarship, which you can actually apply for up to $1,500. The awards vary between $100 and $1,500 to actually get some kind of compensation if you have to take an unpaid internship. And so that's a new resource, and we constantly try to raise money. It comes from donors really that support this. And then we have the new federal work study program, the career connected federal work study program. So many of you maybe have federal work study, you worked on campus, you're sitting at the front desk or something, and you're a biology major. How about working, with an organization, with Soilborn Farms, doing lead testing in urban communities as your internship, as your federal work study job instead. Getting experience out in the community in your career pathway. So that's something that we're going to bring back in the fall. We're going to start having info sessions in May. Get on Handshake, look for those announcements. And then the Impact Fellows program is actually kind of an amalgamation of all these things, and it's a summer fellows program. We have an info session about it. There's 15 slots for anyone who's even if you're a graduating senior, you could have an opportunity to get one of those slots, and they're paid internships. And if you're going to be here next year, fall and spring, you should come and hear about the Sacramento Valley College Corps, program. It's a Service Corps program funded by the state, the California Volunteers Office, where Ronaldin works. And there's an opportunity to get a $7,000 living allowance and a $3,000 education award towards your next year's education or grad school. So opportunities to support you in learning in the community are, they've grown at Sac State. And so there's always something that we can help you try to find. And so I wanted to just show you too, the rest of the schedule for Internship Impact Week. You can find these events on Handshake. Tomorrow's the info session for Impact Fellows. We're doing a showcase of students who have benefited from Career Connected and the GAIN Scholarship. Power School is still looking for interns for the summer. The LinkedIn and Handshake workshop, and then College Core info sessions as well, for those of you who are interested in that. All right, and please come visit the Career Center. We cover every topic you can think of. And here's again the list of all the tools you can get to right from our website. All right. So again, take initiative, start early, search strategically. If you can integrate academic credit, please do so. If you can't seem to get an internship, please create one. Fill out that Handshake profile, set up an appointment with a career counselor. And I would love for you to also fill out the survey. So in these last few minutes, I'm ready to take any questions that I can